A century ago, 7 young men founded a brotherhood committed to the cause of freedom. Today, over 125,000 members strong, the Brothers of Alpha Phi Alpha continue this fight. W.E.B. Du Bois, Jesse Owens, Duke Ellington, Edward Brooke, Thurgood Marshall, Andrew Young, and Martin Luther King Jr. are among the countless Alpha men who have dedicated their lives to scholarship, manly deeds, and love for all mankind. The history of these men is the history of America, and their place in the vanguard of African American progress is unparalleled. This is the story of Alpha Phi Alpha's century of leadership.
Good evening, and welcome to our Alpha Awareness Seminar. The purpose of this presentation is to give you a brief introduction to our fraternity and the overview of our fraternity's aims and ideals. The first known fraternity was Phi Beta Kappa, and it was organized in 1776. However, it wasn't until 1825 that fraternities grew throughout the U.S. However, this expansion and growth generally excluded black college students. After the U.S. Civil War, efforts to build what are now known as historically black colleges and universities, also known as HBCUs, was undertaken. The men and women of these HBCUs developed clubs and literary societies and other social groups as a means of supporting each other. In 1905, at Cornell University in New York, an Ivy League school, a group of black men, feeling isolated from the student body and desiring closer contact with each other, organized a study club, which later became the origins of Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity. Pictured here is 421 North Albany Street in 1906, the first meeting place of the Social Study Club. The pressures of segregation and separation were of serious concerns for the Alpha founders, and the idea of forming a fraternity gradually gained ascendancy. Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated was founded on December 4th, 1906 on the campus of Cornell University. The founders of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated are referred to as the Fraternity Jewels. These men were Henry Arthur Callis, Charles Henry Chapman, Eugene Kinkle Jones, George Biddle Kelly, Nathaniel Allison Maury, Robert Harold Ogle, and Vertna Woodson Tandy. After its founding in 1906, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated expanded to other colleges and universities, with the second chapter, Beta, founded at Howard University in 1907. The third chapter, Gamma, was founded at Virginia Union later that year. The fourth chapter, Delta, was later formed at the University of Toronto. However, this chapter is now defunct. With this expansion, the general organization was formed, and the first general convention was held at Howard University in 1908. Following the second general convention, the amount of graduating members was increasing, and as a way of encouraging members to continue their affiliation with the fraternity, alumni chapters were formed. Under the leadership of Jewel Eugene Kinkle Jones, the first alumni chapter, Alpha Lambda, was formed in Louisville, Kentucky in 1911. Currently, there are more than 730 chapters worldwide. While continuing to stress academic excellence amongst its members, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated recognized the need to correct the educational, economic, and social injustices facing blacks in America. As a result, all chapters were encouraged to develop programs to address the needs of the communities in which they resided. National guidelines to these programs were developed, and they are known as the national programs. In 1919, the Go to High School, Go to College program was launched. This program concentrates on the importance of completing secondary and collegiate education as a road to advancement. Pictured is one of the first posters used to promote this program. A Voteless People is a Hopeless People was launched in the 1930s in a time when many black Americans had the right to vote but were prevented from voting because of poll taxes, threats of reprisals, and a lack of education of the voting process. Pictured is one of the first door knockers used to promote the program. Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated has long stood at the forefront of the African American community's fight for civil rights through leaders such as Brother W. E. Du Bois, Brother Adam Clayton Powell Jr., Brother Edward Brooke, Brother Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Brother Thurgood Marshall, Brother Andrew Young, Brother Paul Robeson, and many others. The men of Alpha strive to make manly deeds, scholarship, and love of all mankind a daily fact of their lives. The Bermuda chapter is named the Epsilon Theta Lambda chapter and was founded on February 21st, 1950. The founders are Brother Cullenwood Birch, Brother Dr. Eustace Can, Brother Lawrence Clark, Brother Roy Dismount, Brother Frederick Furbert, Brother Hilton Hill Jr., MBE, Brother Alfred Hinson, Brother Dr. Charles Smith, Brother Dr. Thomas Stowe, MBE, and Brother Winton Williams. In 1950, one of the first acts of community service was a donation of £100 to the Berkeley Institute to help construct a science lab. During the 50s and 60s, Bermuda's political climate was shifting, and Alpha men were part of the many changes that shaped our island. Politically and socially, they were part of the throngs agitating for changes to Bermuda's restrictive franchise. Members of the Epsilon Theta Lambda chapter were part of the secret society that organized the successful theater boycott in 1959. The work of Alpha Men also assisted in the passing of the Franchise Act in 1963. During its earlier years, these efforts of the Alpha Men were noticed, and membership was sought by some of Bermuda's brightest and best. Reverend Kelly A. Collins, the minister of St. Paul's AME Church, Arnold Francis, QC, Walter H. Robinson, and Sir E.T. Richards. All of these men sought membership and were initiated right here in Bermuda. Family ties and business commitments and the pressures of careers led to the decline of the activity level of the chapter for a period of years. Attempts were made in the early 80s to get the chapter active again, but however, it wasn't until the mid-90s when a series of meetings were held with the intention of reactivating the chapter, and on August 23, 1995, the chapter was reactivated for good. The chapter immediately began to assert itself again by donating $500 to the people of Antigua, who had suffered through a series of losses after Hurricane Luis had carved a path of destruction through that island. Subsequently, the chapter gained momentum, leading to its first Black and Gold Ball held on February 19, 2000, to coincide with the 50th anniversary of the chapter's chartering. At that time, honors were bestowed on the founding members of the chapter. The annual Black and Gold Ball has gone on to become one of Bermuda's premier black tie events. The men of Alpha Phi Alpha have continued in the vein of their predecessors and continue to honor the aims of the fraternity, manly deeds, scholarship, and love of all mankind. The Epsilon Theta Lambda chapter has instituted several programs. These include the Alpha Botillion, Alpha Math Attack, Project Alpha, and Alpha Bigs and Children. The Alpha Battalion is viewed as a rite of passage for our high school seniors by helping them transition from high school to post-secondary life. The bows are judged on their community service project participation, oratorical skills, talent, and a Q&A. Each bow receives a minimum $1,000 bursary, with the winner receiving $5,000. All bows are also sent to the fraternity's Leadership Development Institute program, held at St. John's University at the end of every summer. Math Attack is a program developed by one of our former chapter members, Brother Mason West IV. The program is designed to help young children gain an exciting way to excel at math while building confidence. The challenging criteria teaches the young men to participate in calculating math problems without pen, paper, or calculator. Additionally, the students are taught numerical translations in French, German, and Japanese. Please take a look at this sample video.
All right, the program is all mental math. So what you're going to see is the young men doing calculations in their heads. Is this sound? Can you hear me properly this way? No. No? Use the mic? All right. Fair enough. But I'll start first. All right? Here? These instructions. All right, here we go, guys. 7 times 3 minus 1 divided by 5. Square that equals 16. Who was first? Mike. Well done. Don't know. Here we go, gentlemen. Listen closely. 800 divided by 50. Give me the square root of that. Times 2. Square that equals 64. Well done. 64. 22 multiplied by 11 minus 42 divided by 50 equals 4. Well done. Jetzt auf Deutsch. 7 plus 7 plus 1 geteilt durch 5 ist 3. Well done. 3. En français, 3 égale
9. Okay.
Right. 3 fois 3 égale
9.
9. Well done. Here we go. Let's see if you have some endurance. Here we go. 7 squared plus 1. Divide that by 10. Square that. Minus 1. Divide that by 2. Square that. Minus 4. Divide that by 10. Divide that by 2 equals 7 is correct. Here we go. Let's get some big numbers. They don't believe us. Let's get some big numbers. 55 squared equals. Well done. 99 times 25 equals
2475.
Well done.
At the end of the year, participating students in the Math Attack program compete for various prizes. These prizes have included all expenses paid trips to Space Camp in Alabama, laptops, cell phones, and cash prizes. Project Alpha is a national program developed to specifically teach young men about the consequences of teenage pregnancy from a male perspective. The program seeks to teach young men to understand their roles in preventing untimely pregnancies through responsible attitudes and behaviors. Over the last few years, we have presented this program at various middle schools and high schools island-wide. Alpha Bigs and Children, or also known as ABCs, is a collaborative effort between Alpha Phi Alpha and Big Brothers, Big Sisters through a partnership formed in 1990. which the fraternity pledged to help big brothers and big sisters facilitate matches for unmatched littles. The chapter puts on soccer and basketball clinics on a regular basis, as well as other events for unmatched littles. The Epsilon Theta Lambda chapter is known throughout our region for the innovative and tangible programs that we have created aimed at young male population. Our efforts have been recognized regionally as we have been awarded the Alumni Chapter of the Year Award in 2007, 2008, and 2009. The chapter has also been awarded the National Alumni Chapter of the Year Award in 2008 and 2009. When it comes to leading, the Epsilon Theta Lambda chapter has firmly established itself as a chapter of example.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Brother John Duncan.
That alpha fever, love that black and gold. I've got that fever, all in my body. I've got that fever for that black and gold.